Chicago's College Connection. Welcoming in the defensive coordinator of the DePaul Club football team, Adam Savarine. How are you doing, Adam?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good today. I'm sure you were a little disappointed from over the weekend, traveling to Oakland. I was mentioning this with Carlos Jones from last week. What was the trip like, coming up to Oakland, off the loss to Loyola? What emotions were going through your head?
I mean, we knew it was going to be a tough game because, Oakland is ranked, and us being the little brother to everyone kind of wants to kick us in their mouth and get their easy win. So we knew it was a game we had to come out fighting and swinging hard, and we knew they wouldn't take us serious until we actually showed them what we were capable of. And the guys walked in there and they knew what they wanted to do, and it was just kind of executing was a little bit harder than we expected it to be, with those guys being a little bit bigger than a lot of the guys here, DePaul's club football team.
So what happened in the first half? 37-0. You mentioned Connor Skelly going out with the injury. What happened there?
So Connor actually recovered a fumble. The snap was a little low, and he jumped on it and took an ear hole right to the back of the head. And it was a late hit. The refs actually did call that one, so we were happy they called it. But he walked off the field and kind of gave those eyes that, he can see you, but he can't see you. So right then and there, the quarterback coach, Coach Jones, myself, and Coach Tony Benson, we actually talked to him, and we knew right then and there he wasn't going back in.
Have you ever gone through a concussion before? Did you know what he was going through?
Oh, yeah. You kind of get this glazed look in your eyes, and you're just kind of looking right through the person. And you know that, when you have one, you know it. You're trying to concentrate. You can't focus. He was trying to talk to us and say, hey, Coach, I need one. And we're like, what do you need? You need, a play to sit out? And he just kind of look at you and just nod a little bit, and you're like, all right, we're keeping him out this game.
Were you pissed off a little bit at Oakland and taking that cheap shot? What did that mean to you?
Yeah, it was irritating. The guys were already beating us down at that point. They knew what our guys were capable of, so they knew that they could score on us. But it was just more irritating the fact that that's what it took in order to get refs to start making calls against Oakland, was a cheap shot like that to our starting quarterback. Now, we've been cycling quarterbacks in and out all day, so we had other options at the time. But to take a cheap shot on, this kid who's, sophomore, freshman, he's got a while in front of him, but if he keeps getting these concussions, he's going to wake up when he's 40 years old and not be able to think. So, it's hard to always see a player walk off the field and he's not going to walk back on for, at least a week or two.
How is he doing right now?
He's still got a concussion. He's still down. He's in a lot of pain. I know he's got some headaches here and there, but, Connor's a true champion. He'll come back, and he'll definitely work his butt off to get back in there.
That's tough. Your first year of club football, you're trying to get the ropes, you're trying to get your offense going, and then you go out with a concussion like that on a cheap shot.
Yeah, it really sucked to see him go out like that, but, we got to kind of move past, and Connor knows that he still supports the team, he still shows up to practices, he's still there to watch everybody, and he does what he can to, help the backup quarterbacks.
Eddie Serrano came in at backup quarterback. Like you said, he was the weak side linebacker, hadn't played any offense, comes in and tries to take the helms as the signal caller. What did you see from Eddie that you liked in the first half?
Serrano's just a talented kid. The kid can play anywhere you need him to be. We put him on a few different outlooks that we have for our offense, so he does run some of our beef offense and stuff like that. So he is able to play quarterback, and the kid is a natural athlete. But our problem is we need to start getting more reps with him at quarterback. He needs to be in there during practices, and that's one of the things that the coaches and I are working on, is getting him more reps at quarterback during practices. And, like I said, Connor's standing there, and he's helping him as much as he can. He's doing what he can from the sidelines.
What about a tailback? Who impressed you out of the backfield on offense? Andrew Sarkeesian, John Beal, any names that come to mind?
Kevin. Kevin actually, that kid's an athlete. Some of the things we saw, definitely in kick returns. The kid's averaging, 37 to 38, yards return. And, his runs are just, he knows he's not the strongest kid in the world, but he's going to try and run you over no matter what. John Beal's another great runner. He needs to start making his cuts a little bit more when he can. But the kid's a powerhouse. When he hits you, he hits you.
TJ Duckett-esque?
Yes, very much so.
Mike Allstott, maybe a little comparison there at the fullback
position. A
position.
little bit, yeah. He's definitely a power runner. He's not necessarily your fastest guy in the team, but he's a power runner, and he knows when to put his shoulder down and run you over.
We talk about the fullback position. How much does that help the running back? We see that in the NFL nowadays. The fullbacks are kind of taken out of their games. But to have a lead blocker there to help in the backfield, what does that mean to your offense?
It helps because then it gives, if your tailback can't necessarily see the field the same way your fullback can, your fullback's in front of you, obviously he's leading the way for you, And if he makes a cut, usually as a tailback, you know to make that same cut. He's going up for a reason, so you need to cut upfield and actually start running north-south versus east and west. Because a lot of guys, especially being tailbacks, are a little bit smaller. They want to run all the way to the sidelines, and then they want to try and get upfield. In club football and in football in general, east and west is going to get you there. North is what's going to get you there, so you need to start running upfield. And fullback's kind of going to get you that extra 3, 4, 5 yards we need.
What happened in the second half? 13-8, 13-7, or 13-8?
13-8.
13-8. So a lot better second half coming in Oakland. What really impressed you? What stood out to you on the field that allowed your team to really come back and play a much better second half?
A lot of it was during halftime. The coach and I sat down. We formed a new plan for defense. Our defense spent about 47 minutes on the field versus our offense, who only had about 13 minutes on the field.
Same thing that happened against Loyola too, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of time for our defense to be on there. Guys are going to get really tired. But guys, they never once came off. They never complained to me. With me being the defensive coordinator, they'd come up to me and they'd talk to me, or they'd talk to, Tony, who's a co-defensive coordinator. They talked to him, but they would never once complain. We'd ask if they're okay. We'd ask if they had any problems. They'd never say anything. So that really helped us in the sense that guys never wanted to show that they were tired, even if, you kind of could tell. But we actually reformulated a plan. Instead of running a 3-4, we switched down to a 4-3 just so we could try and stop their run game. So something that we came up with. And then guys were just, some of the captains on the team, Riley, Alex, Serrano, Connor, all these guys who actually were there. Guys were sitting there talking about Connor and how he took a cheap shot, and guys want to get out there and, put forth an effort for him. Or, Alex Smith kind of standing up and talking to the guys, inspiring them a little bit to go out there. And no matter what happens, you got to keep playing. It starts out 0-0 second half. Let's see what we can do.
Is that a new scheme coming into next week, the 4-3 defense?
Yeah, I think it's something that Coach Benson and I talked about because we were kind of afraid that being able to run up the center would be our biggest problem. If we blitzed the weak side or something like that and they were running strong side, we'd have a little bit of an issue. So I think running a 4-3 is going to be the best thing for us, especially some of the guys we have on the field. There's a guy, JJ, who, he's a big guy. He's strong. And to put him in there at, a defensive tackle or a defensive guard or something like that, he can make an impression. He can kind of take up a couple bodies, say we can blitz in some linebackers.
What was the game plan that really worked in the secondary? Were the cornerbacks shadowing the wide receivers, or were they moving all around?
We kind of switched up some guys and put strong guys on stronger guys. So if we knew that they had a strong wide receiver they like to pass to, we'd kind of move some guys out there. Serrano would be moved out there a few times. We had some different cornerbacks that had come out. Steve Young, he came out. He was actually playing with us, and he was kind of taking over some of that. We ran a lot of cover too, so I think that was something that really helped us. And it was just guys had to stop being afraid to catch the ball. Guys were afraid to go out there and get in someone's face. And once we realized that Oakland is human, and these guys were able to go out there and put a hurting on them, so we had a few times where guys on Oakland's team had a little trouble getting up. Once our guys saw that, they were able to start playing with some intensity.
This is back-to-back second halves where DePaul Club football has really proven something, trying to get something going in a positive direction. Do you think this confidence can continue on to next week?
Yeah, against Loyola, it took us till the fourth quarter to come out there and start smashing it down their throats. Against Oakland, it was the second half we were able to do it the entire time. Although our defense wasn't able to stop them scoring completely, our offense was able to come out and put up 8-13. So it wasn't a huge deficit, but I think these guys we need to find a way for them not to get hit in the mouth and come back. We need to find a way for them just to come out swinging right off the gate. Offensively,
I know you're the defensive coordinator, but what really stood out to you in the impressive part and trying to get some points on the board? Who was able to do that for DePaul Club football?
Kevin was very impressive, as I mentioned. The kid can run. The kid, I don't know how much prior knowledge he has of football, but he's always willing to go out there. He's always willing to grind. He's willing to go out there and hit you in the mouth and keep running forward. Steve Young, he came out there. He had previously played some corner and some safety and a little bit of wide receiver and some quarterback, and he was kind of all over the place. And I think we realized that once Serrano was out there, we kind of just give it a jump ball, Calvin Johnson type way, just go out there and throw the ball up to Steve.
Into triple coverage.
Yeah, and the kid can jump, and he's going to come down with the ball, 9 times out of 10.
Is he looking to be your go-to guy for the next couple of weeks?
I don't think we necessarily have a go-to guy. Like I said, Kevin caught the first 2 passes. We spread the ball around. Devin caught his first touchdown pass in his entire career. The kid's never caught a touchdown pass. So,
it's a big moment.
Yeah, it was huge. And Steve actually caught the 2-point conversion, so he was able to spread the ball around. And that's going to be really key for us. We don't want to zone in on one particular wide receiver, because if you do, no matter how many times you throw that ball up to Steve or whoever's going to be out there, eventually they're going to start zoning in on that. And, if you're throwing in triple coverage, he's not always going to come down with it. So we want to be able to spread the ball around and get out to everyone.
Being a former quarterback yourself, what words of advice did you have to Eddie Serrano going in and taking some snaps at signal calling?
I like I said, the quarterback coach, Brandon Davis, actually did his job very well. He said a lot to him. I didn't say very much to Serrano. I actually talked to Serrano when he was on defense, and he was, he was kind of worried about playing a little offense, and he was worried about not having snaps. It's simple. Just calm down and remember the play. You know the play. Just calm down and look at it. You'll see the play developing. Every good quarterback, everyone with vision actually sees the play developing. So all you got to do is breathe, watch the play, and you'll see the defense spread, and you'll know where to go with the ball.
Great information already from DePaul Club Football Defensive Coordinator Adam Savarine. Adam Savarine in studio talking about the loss against Oakland over the weekend and how to come back this upcoming weekend against Miami of Ohio. Excuse me. I don't think that was going to be that tough of a name to pronounce. Is that Saturday or Sunday?
That's Saturday game. Saturday at 1 o'clock.
So not under the lights.
No, we're not under the lights this week. So hopefully that'll help us out a little bit more.
Do you think that had anything to do with the loss? Playing on a big stage?
No. I mean, if you looked at the field that we played on, it was like a high school field. So I don't think that was a big factor for them. It was extremely wet. It was extremely muddy. The hill had slopes everywhere. But as a football player, it's just something you got to get used to. Anyone who's played in any type of athletic program knows that conditions aren't always ideal. It's just something you got to get used to. And they were playing the exact same field we were. So it wasn't like, they had a better field than we did or anything like that. So
you're playing through the same conditions.
Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing that we can complain about that they didn't have to go through the same way.
Have they been playing on that field for the past 3 years, though?
No, I think it's a new field they just built. So they're getting this new field out there, and I believe there's only a couple games in. I mean, Oakland's only been around, I want to say 2 years.
Okay.
So they're not the biggest team in the world. They haven't been there the longest, but they're a team that's constantly growing. And after the game, they came up and they were more than willing to work with our club president and VP to try and get DePaul going. And they tried to give us as many hints as they could. And I mean, Oakland's not a bad team by any means. They were super nice. They're super helpful with wherever they could be, and they're willing to help DePaul club football team in any way they could. So
you mentioned that during the break, some players weren't really having the time of their lives, I guess you could say, with DePaul club football. They left. So what are you trying to tell new players? What's your new mentality that even though you're going through struggles, stick it out because success is coming here with club football?
Yeah, I mean, it's a new team. Like I said, Oakland has only been around for a couple of years. Loyola's been around for a couple of years. All these teams have been around for a couple of years. They're not, top 10 teams. They're not a University of Michigan. They're not Ohio State. They're not, Texas A&M. They're not these teams that have been around forever and everyone's going to hop on and cheer for you every game. You're going to lose fans. You're going to gain fans. People are going to like you. People are going to hate you. We're new. We're a new organization, just like anything else. I mean, DePaul rugby, when it first came out, it wasn't the most popular thing. But there's a lot of people now who will go out and play DePaul rugby. It's a great sport to go out and watch. People want to sit down and see it. So guys were getting hurt, and it was things that guys weren't expecting. They were expecting this to be like, flag football. This isn't flag football. This is a real football game. You're wearing pads. You're going to get hit.
As Connor Skelly knows.
Yeah. We have a few guys out who've had concussions, and they want to come back. And I mean, we've also had guys who quit because it was tough. And the games are tough. I mean, there's no doubt about that. You're going to get hit. You're going to get hurt. And there's guys who are big guys out there. I've seen some guys who are twice my size.
With your experience, I know you don't want to talk about yourself, but playing football at Michigan, what can you tell the kids to really tell them that it's an improvement process and it's not about week by week? What can you tell them in terms of what you went through at Michigan, the injury, obviously, and to stick to it, to stick to the program instead of leaving and quitting?
So the thing I can say is, you're always going to have problems. You're always going to be sore. You're always going to be hurt. Everything, I don't think there's a single coach on the roster who had played a game where they were 100%. I mean, I don't know anybody who's done anything big in their life who's always done 100%. You always got some bangs up, some bruises, some cuts, some, owies and boo-boos. But crap happens, right? I mean, you're going to come back. You're going to come back. You're going to be able to play a lot better. Once you learn from those mistakes, Connor's going to learn when he goes down for a fumble not to turn his head away from the defense. It's something you learn.
But that's not so. I understand, but it's still a tough play to go through. You're not.
Yeah. I mean,
as you know, you're not always looking at the defender.
No, I mean, it's definitely something tough to go through. It's something that Connor's going to come back from. He's going to be better for it. You're not always going to make the same mistakes, and it's going to hurt. It will hurt, but it's going to hurt today. But next year, when you're talking about, I helped start DePaul football team. I helped start DePaul's football team. I helped start DePaul's football team. That's going to stick with you. It's not going to stick with you that I got a concussion second week. I got a concussion the first week. I missed 2 games because of this. Those aren't the things that are going to stick with you. All the games that I missed, those aren't going to stick with me. What's going to stick with me is that, hey, I put in that blue. I walked around. I went to university. I played those games. These guys, that's what's going to stick with them is that, I helped start DePaul's football team. I mean, Serrano's going to walk out of here and saying, I threw the first 2 touchdown passes for DePaul University in 70 years or so. Those are the things.
Big accomplishment.
Yeah, those are the things that's going to stick with the guys. It's not going to be how many owies and boo-boos you got.
That's a good mentality to have. You have a tough mentality, as we could tell. Some of the starters have been forced out with injuries. Some players have left. I know offense isn't your expertise on this team, but who are the mainstays right now? Who is the starting lineup on offense through 2 weeks?
We got a lot of good guys out there. Devin, obviously, like I said, catching his first touchdown pass last week. He's going both ways. He's one of our guys who goes both ways. We finally have a solidified defense where these guys are going to come out and play every week, and they're some of our big starters. And, I mean, we're finally happy to announce that we're not having a lot of guys go both ways. So on offense, Big John, Mesner, we also have Eddie Serrano. We have JB. We have Kevin. We have, some of these other guys who have been out there playing. And these guys are great guys, Mike Gucci. These guys are out there. Rob. These guys know what they're doing. They know their position, and they can play the position 100%. They're not going to, half-ass anymore. They're going to go out there and they're going to do what they have to do. They don't have to worry about saving some in the tank for defense now.
What does that mean for some players to not go both ways, to only play on offense, just to save some of their energy, or is it more something to it, to focus on one side of the football instead of trying to jumble everything in your head about both sides?
Well, obviously it's both. They obviously get to save something in the tank now. They don't have to worry about it. Coach can actually sit down and talk to them about what they messed up on offense. So when my defense comes off the field, I get 95% of my defensive players to sit down on the bench. I can talk to them about what they messed up on, what they did right, how we can go back out there and improve on the next series. Same thing Coach can do on offense. It also leaves something where these guys don't have to worry about, okay, what does this symbol mean from Coach, or what does Falcon mean from this play, or what does this mean for this play?
Don't give away your plays just yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's some of those things that they can see what I'm doing on the sidelines on defense, and they can just memorize that. Guys know what they have to do on my, on my strong arm or something like that. They know what they have to do versus, if they're trying to memorize that and they're trying to memorize an offensive play that coaches develop for them, or even a new one we throw with these guys. Like I said, when we developed the 4-3 and sent them out there, I walked through it once with these guys, and these guys all understood it. It's some stuff that we need to practice, but they understood it and they did the best they could.
Does that help you too with schemes and coverages?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I mean, I'm able to put out some guys who are big and strong, but I'm also able to put out guys who are fast. I don't have to worry about gassing them out. I don't have to worry about, okay, do I need to pull off Serrano because he's got to go in and throw a touchdown pass next game, or next series, I'm sorry. I don't have to worry about, okay, do I have to pull out JB because he's got to go in and run the football 20 times this game. I no longer have those fears, those concerns, or the fear of putting Serrano in and getting him hurt. Well, now we're out Connor Scully, and we're out Eddie Serrano. We got Steve Young, who's taken 6 snaps at quarterback. How screwed are we? Those are things that I was worried about before. So I would pull off Eddie Serrano, and Eddie Serrano is one of my star linebackers. I have 3 great linebackers, and I wouldn't trade him for anything. But if I have to pull him out, that means I have to put in somebody else.
So who are the stars now on your defense? You mentioned linebackers. What's your lineup looking like as the coach?
So my line and lineup actually looks great. We change around a lot with the DB just because we can kind of play to the offensive strong suit. So all of our DBs have the ability to play anywhere. We change out every week almost our safeties and our corners. But now with our 4-3, we have a strong line. Our 2 guards are big guys. They're very strong. They're not the fastest guys in the world, but they will chase down a quarterback and they will get in those gaps where we need them to be. Our ends are extremely talented. Scott, I call the kid the water boy. He goes out there and he plays just like Adam Sandler. He's not necessarily the kid who's going to come out there and he's going to call an audible on a play, but he's going to go out there and bust you up. And that's what the kid does, and he caused a couple forced fumbles the last game, and forced fumble actually led to our touchdown. So, and then we have 3 strong linebackers, being Devin.
One quick question here is, does he have the comedian aspect like Adam Sandler does?
He does. He's very funny. He's very funny. He will. It's one of those things you have to be there if you were to tell a joke over the radio.
Right.
It wouldn't be as funny. You kind of look at me and think I'm stupid, but the kid, he's a great kid. He's hilarious, and he does everything wholeheartedly, and he knows that he's going out there and he's going to play his heart out.
So what about your secondary? What does that look like coming in against Miami of Ohio?
So our secondary, like I said, I have 3 stud linebackers. Alex Smith, who's always been our strong side, he'll probably be on Mike. Eddie Serrano, who I will be switching out probably with Steve Young a lot. Just try and save him. Because like I said, I still do have that fear of if Eddie Serrano does get hit, does get hurt, then we have, who we're going to put in at quarterback. And then we also have Devin, who actually does play offense as well. So I have 2 guys now who play on offense and defense, but they're guys who have done it for the last 2 games, and they don't get gassed out. I mean, Eddie Serrano, the kid goes 4 hours, during football practice and never takes a water break. So he's a great kid. These guys all know what they're doing. They all play hard, and they're all very intelligent. In fact, they can memorize my plays as well as they can memorize, Coach Jones' plays.
You bring up all the worries about trying to keep Eddie Serrano healthy on both sides of the football. How are you able to keep all those questions and all those concerns out of your head during the game and just play?
I don't. The concerns are always in my head, and they're always in Coach Jones's. He will look at me, and we'll start seeing, Eddie kind of, he'll hit somebody or something like that, and he'll give me this look like, let's get him out of there for a second, and, we'll call him off the field and we'll put somebody else in. But you can never not doubt the kid. The kid's going to play 100% even if he's hurt. I mean, he could probably have a broken thumb and still go in there and throw a touchdown pass. But he's never going to complain to you. He's never going to tell you. You just kind of look at him, and he's going to give it 110% every time. So you just kind of take a look at him and pull him out when you feel that's time, because he's never going to tell you that's time. So there is no overlooking those.
You're always overlooking throughout the game.
Yeah, you're always
keeping at it.
Yep.
Is Eddie Serrano your team MVP through 2 games?
No, we don't have a team MVP. Our team keeps getting better. I mean, and like I said, if I was talking to you during the break, and if our team's not getting better, they're getting worse. And they went from scoring 6 points against Loyola to scoring 8 against a better team. They converted on a 2-point conversion, but this Oakland is a far better team. They're a better team than Loyola is, and probably ever will be in the near future. Not to say Loyola is bad by any means, but Oakland's just a bigger, better team. But our team is getting better. They're realizing their flaws, and us coaches are realizing our flaws, and we're changing those. So there is no MVP. Like I said, Devin caught his first touchdown ever. Eddie's thrown for 2 touchdowns now. Serrano's actually taken, and he caught the very first touchdown pass by Eddie Serrano. So we were able to, we have a wide variety of guys. We have Scott, the water boy, who forced a fumble and is able to get us in, touchdown range. So there is no MVP. All these guys bring something different to the game that, we can't live without.
I was mentioning this with Coach Jones. I know the 2 Serranos are not twins, but they can kind of talk to each other like twins. He was mentioning that last week.
Yeah. They're not even related. That's the best part. So I actually call one of them just Eddie, and then the other one's Serrano to me. So when Serrano's out there and I'm yelling Serrano, Eddie knows not even to look at me. But Serrano's never going to say a word to you. He'll just kind of look at you, and Eddie gets this vibe that he knows what he's doing, and all right, this is what play we're running. So I mean, that's one of the beautiful things between the 2 of them. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what they do it. But I mean, you'll see it with all the great quarterbacks and the wide receiver duos is.
They have a feeling for each other.
Yeah, they have a feeling. I mean, you see with somebody's gonna kick my butt for saying this, but Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson.
Stop it! You have the Bears hat on. What are you doing, man?
I do, but I mean, like I said, you see with a lot of them. If Jay Cutler was a better quarterback, I could say with him and Brandon Marshall.
I can't disagree with that.
But I mean, Brandon Marshall and pretty much any quarterback out there, they can kind of look at each other and you can see it. But I mean, that's just something quarterbacks and wide receivers have is once they start getting in rhythm with each other, and I think that you'll see that more and more throughout the season with Serrano stepping up as our fill-in quarterback. He'll be able to read Serrano and other players a little bit more. Steve Young, whoever's out there, Devin, Sarkisian, any of those guys who are out there, he's going to be able to start reading them a little bit more, and you'll find him picking his favorites out there.
That's Adam Savarine talking DePaul Club football with you. If you want to get your thoughts in, any questions, the phone line is 773-325-7341. I know he doesn't want to talk about it, but maybe what it was like playing with Chad Henne, you can ask him about that too. I'm just kidding. Let's keep this to DePaul Club football. We were talking about this during the break a little bit. The relationship with you and Coach Carlos Jones. What does that mean to you? Obviously, you have to communicate about which players should be on and off the field with defense and offense, but as a personal relationship first, how is that going with the head coach?
Coach Jones and I are really close. Like I said, between him, myself, and the other two coaches, we have a group text that is constantly someone's always talking about something. Or
It's like a group of girls texting.
yeah, it basically is. My phone's always going off. I wake up to 40 missed text messages, and not a single one's from any girlfriends or anything like that. So they're all
guys.
Yeah, they're all. But no, I mean it's fun. I mean he's texted me literally 10 times since I've been sitting here. So it's always nice. We can always talk. I can contact him with any questions I have. I'm close with him and his family. He's got a great little girl. His entire family and him are they're great to be around. They're very nice people. He'd give you the shirt off his back if you asked for it. I spent 11 hours in the car with him this last week, him and Coach Brandon, and unfortunately we couldn't fit Coach Tony in there, so Tony had to ride with the players. But, I mean, we're always talking, we're always joking, we're always having fun. All of us had played at some higher level than high school, so it's always nice to just talk crap to each other and get out there. And it's a competition between us all. I mean, I want my defense to be better in his offense, and he wants his offense to be better in my defense. Obviously, he's seeing the big picture, so he wants everything to be as good as it can be. I treat this team like it's the Bears, and I want the defense to be the stud of the team.
Like in 06.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
Like this year.
Not like this year. Not like this year. Don't bring up this year. This hurts. But yeah,
His defense is playing well.
Yeah, I guess they are. They're playing very well.
So that does bodes well for you too.
It does. I really appreciate the Lions doing well. If they ever make it to the Super Bowl, I will get a big Lions tattoo on my chest. But I don't expect that to be in my lifetime. I don't expect to be in my lifetime. So
maybe this year. Maybe this is the year.
Yeah, I would have been on it.
In practice, you talk about how you and Coach Carlos Jones are really head-to-head with your offenses and defenses. How much better does that make each individual player and the scheme itself?
It makes us a lot better. Coach Jones and I will sit there, and even if something's not on necessarily our defensive lineup or offensive lineup, we will throw things in there that are going to throw off the offense, throw off the defense. If I'm giving him a scout D, like I said, I have a lot of my starting guys, so I can run with a lot of my starting guys. And I can tell these guys, hey, stack up the center to the nose, stack up all these guys on defense, and let's bring the house on blitz. And Coach Jones will see that once or twice, and then he'll throw in some trick play that I've never seen before. So it allows us to get different ideas. If we weren't able to play off each other as well, I don't think that we would have as many good players as we do, and these guys wouldn't have as much fun as they do during practice. These guys walk away from a lot of our practices, and they turn to Coach and I, and that was really fun. As much as it sucked with them with their conditioning, because I do a lot of their conditioning, and I will make these guys run and throw up everywhere. They do have a lot of fun. They'll walk away saying how much fun they had playing today, and it's nice because Coach and I can look at each other, and we know that the team got better, but they still had fun doing it.
Right, that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to get worse week by week, even though the record doesn't account for the positives. But playing well in practice obviously means something week by week if you see improvement, scoring more points, playing better defensively in the second half too.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, as long as we're getting better, and I can't be mad at my defense for giving up 50 points. As much as I'd like to get upset and say, we should have done this better, we should have done that better, there wasn't a lot that my players could have done better. There's a lot that I could have done better and I could have prepared them for better. There's a lot that they could have actually, seen and made adjustments to, but it's not stuff that I can be mad at them for because they were on the field for so long. Defense gets tired. If our quarterback throws 500 passes a game and completes, 40 of them, I'm happy. You get tired. Things start giving out when you're tired. My line got tired. I started using offensive line guys on my defense. I can't be mad when you're giving up so many points because you've given up so many points in such a long period of time. Now, if they would give up 50 points and they're only out there for 5 minutes, I'd be livid. But it's a different story.
Where have you learned that mentality from? Just a calm attitude? Because if you talk to other defensive coaches around your league or any other league, they're probably getting upset that their players aren't stable and able to play on the field for the entire game.
I'll credit that to playing on offense all my life. My coaches in high school and college both kind of just looked at you and said, hey, have a short-term memory. Last play was last play. You might have thrown for 60 yards. You might have ran for 20 yards. Well, I never ran for 20 yards, but you might
yard.
a yard here or there. But you could have had the best play of your life, or you could have the worst play. Doesn't matter. Your next play, you're going to make it up. You're going to do better next play. So if you see me on the sidelines, I yell, I scream, I get angry. But at the same time, forget about the last play. The last play is over. The next play is what's important. You gave up a 40-yard run. Make it up this time. Get a 10-yard sack. those are the kind of things that I need my defense to know and I need them to remember. And if I'm sitting there constantly yelling at them about the last play or the play before, they're not going to get better with me yelling at them. They got to understand that if I'm talking to them or if I'm getting frustrated, I'm getting frustrated because I know they can do better. So that's why I get mad. It's because I know they can do better than what they're doing.
Talk about the positives from playing football and the improvement. What about the positives for these players on offense and defense after college? What do you think they can learn from playing club football under you and Coach Carlos Jones that can help them in their daily lives?
A lot of it's just determination. Like I said, especially with this being their first year. Because, I mean, I walked into a Big Ten school where they had winning records. I couldn't look bad or good no matter what I did. If I won 20 games, it had already been done before me. If I lost 20 games, it had been done before me. So it wasn't a big deal. These guys are walking out there, and they have everyone looking at them, doubting them. Everybody out there is doubting DePaul's football team right now. I mean, it's hard to say, but, I mean, who doesn't? They're a brand new team. They're 0-2. They've lost by big deficits, all these things. But they're not stopping. They're not quitting. And that's what's important. So after college, you're going to sit there, and whether they go on and they play higher ball, semi-pro, arena football, whatever they want to do, or if they want to go on and just get a real job, something
Will you accept them into your workplace?
I would accept a lot of them, yeah. I think they're all hard workers. They come out, they show up to practice every day, and they want to play. It's one of those things that you learn a lot, even if it's not necessarily football related. These guys are going to show up, and they're going to know that every day they show up to work, they're going to get better and better.
Middle linebacker Alex Smith, I was bringing up his name a lot the past couple of weeks with head coach Carlos Jones. What does he mean to you as the Mike linebacker, your defense, as the leader, calling out plays from your signals?
He means a lot to me. He's one of those guys that I depend on when he's out there on the field. I need him to be my eyes and my ears. So the second he comes off the field on defense, I actually pull him off to the side before I speak to anyone on defense, and I ask him what he saw. What are you seeing out there that we're not doing correct? And he's one of the guys that when we were running the 3-4, they kept running dive on us. And we sit there, and I pulled Alex off, and he's like, they're just running to whatever weak side that we're not on. Okay, that's an easy correction. Now we just drop somebody else down, and now we have a 4-3. It's not something hard that, we sat down with, for 3 hours and drew it up on a chalkboard and go, okay, this is the new plan. It's something that Alex saw out there, so, Coach Brandon, Coach Tony, Coach Carlos, and I all sat down and just made this adjustment real quickly and go, okay, this is what we need to do now. So he's one of those guys, he's my eyes and my ears on the field. He's also one of the guys who, he can get mad, he can get upset at the players, but at the same time, the way that he gets mad and he gets upset is inspirational. He can talk to the team in some ways, the ways that I can't or other coaches can't.
I still see that from you, though. I mean, you're being very positive. Like I said, not a lot of coaches do that.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe that's just me sitting in here versus being on a football field. Like I said, U.S. players is a little bit different.
He's trying not to swear.
Yeah, I'm trying not to. It's one of those things that, like I said, I mean, when I'm on the football field, I do get emotional. I never really did when I was a player. I didn't get emotional.
What if I brought up the team Appalachian State?
Now you're just hurting.
Is that making you upset?
How soon is this interview over?
After this, right after this.
It's like I said, I get emotional when I'm on the sidelines. I will yell, I will scream, I will curse, I will talk to them like I'm mad. But like I said, if I'm talking to you, it's because I think you can do better. If I'm not talking to you, that's when it's a problem. So I'm not saying anything to you, that's when it's a problem.
Who do you look to for this weekend to really see improvement from on Saturday at 1 o'clock against Miami of Ohio? What's the big matchup and the player that you're looking to expose in a positive light on their team, or a negative light on their team and a positive light on your team?
I want to stop their run game. I really need to stop their run game. I think Miami of Ohio is a great team. They're ranked, so we all know they're a great team. But it's one of those teams that I feel if we can stop their running, our secondary can play cover 2 well enough to hold their throwing yards down. So if we can get in there, hit them in the mouth, and shut down their run game early, or at least have them spread out their run game, so they have to go wide, it's something that we're quick enough that we can get out there and we can actually hit them on the outsides.
You think the 4-3 defense is going to be effective this weekend?
I think the 4-3 will.
All right, no, that's a big positive. If you have your defensive scheme down, coming in against a ranked team, and you said Oakland is a ranked team, and you're facing back-to-back ranked team. Was that something that back-to-back? Was that something that you had prepared into the schedule? Did you want, or did Coach want this? Have a set schedule of ranked teams to get your confidence going early against the tough teams?
I don't think he necessarily wanted this more than anything. I can't speak for Coach Jones. he may have wanted this, maybe it was something he requested. I
Random
don't know.
schedule.
Yeah, but Coach knows always a plan, and I think that if he knew this was coming out, he probably had a reason for it, and but it's one of those things that I'd rather play a better team than last week, and I'd rather not take an easy win. Eventually we're going to have easy wins, and everyone's looking to beat up on us, so might as well go out there, hit him in the mouth, and we'll figure out by the end of this next week, if we end up 0-3 or 1-2 or whatever the case is, we'll know who's actually there to play. If guys are upset because we're losing here and there, and guys quit, I'd rather know now versus 5 games down when we started out with 2 wins and the rest of our games are all losses.
You got to have the tough test early and see who's going to commit to this team.
Exactly.
So, looking at the rest of this schedule right now, Miami of Ohio coming up here on Saturday. Is there any other team you're circling on the schedule? I know coaches and defensive coordinators say, we're taking this game by game. But what other game are you circling that maybe means something to you?
I think the biggest game that probably means something to all of us, besides, like I said, every week is always a big week for us, and I'm not going to be a stereotypical coach that says, we're just taking it, we're just focusing on this week, No, I think the game that means a lot to us is Loyola. If we go back to that one, that is one of our big rivals. A few of our coaches have worked there before and, didn't necessarily like it and left. But I think Loyola is our big rival, and we want to come back out there and we want to show them that even from week 1 to week 5, we play number 6, we've gotten better. We want to go out there and smash them in the mouth and say, hey, you met us when we were first starting. Now we're better. Now we're a better team. We can run on you. We can throw on you. We can smash you in the mouth, and we can come out there and tackle your quarterback all day. So that's the one that I'm looking forward to. And again, it's not so much just because Loyola. I think it's because it was week 1, and we play them again, like I said, week 5 or 6, I believe it is.
Is there a comparison? I know Michigan and Michigan State tops off a lot of rivalries, but for you to tell these players that a rivalry really is important, and to try to get to that point of a Michigan State, but I see it in your eyes right now that it's not really close.
The biggest rivalry to me.
Michigan-Ohio State.
Michigan-Ohio State. And Coach Jones and I have fun with that one because he's a big Ohio State guy. So
Michigan football isn't looking too good this year, Matt.
I know.
You don't want to talk
maybe
about
I'll go
it.
back for grad school. Who knows? But no, like I said, it's DePaul's about they're not so much about football. So what does it matter if it's a rival school or not? All that matters is these guys go out there and play 100%. This is year 1. They got more years to come. As long as they can keep playing, they can keep busting their butt, and we'll see a win. We will see a win this year. And if we don't, they'll come back next year and they'll play again next year.
Defensive coordinator Adam Savarine in studio. Any last words for the listeners or students that you want maybe take the trip to Miami of Ohio this weekend to support DePaul Club football?
We always appreciate people coming out and supporting us. We do have some fans actually will travel with us. But come on out, check us out. I believe today they're practicing in Wishfield actually right now. Come on over, check us out, say hello, talk to the guys. If you guys want to try out for the team, we're always looking for new guys to try out. No roster's ever set, but we'll be more than happy to get you guys out there and throw some footballs around.
Thank you very much for your time, Adam.
Thank you.
That's defensive coordinator Adam Savarine. DePaul Club football faces off against Miami of Ohio this weekend, Saturday at 1 o'clock. We wish them luck here from Rady DePaul and Rady DePaul Sports. That's going to do it here on this channel. News is coming your way next. On both sides, the Sports Flash with Ben Savage. He's holding up his fist down right there. He's excited and ready to go. For Adam Savarine, I'm Eli Erskovich. You have been listening to Club Football Weekly on Radio DePaul and Radio DePaul Sports, the student voice of your DePaul Blue Demons. Good job.